I wouldn't put it in a clear vase purely because I don't know who has time to change the water on flowers every day.
In a jaw-dropping twist that's got royal insiders completely rattled, Buckingham Palace has confirmed that the custody battle over Prince Archie, 7, and Princess Lilibet, 5, has reached what top officials are calling crisis level. According to an exclusive source tight with the Royal Child Welfare Office, this isn't just a serious issue, it's explosive. Word from behind palace walls says both children have been formally removed from Meghan Markle's custodial care after a sealed legal document was quietly slipped into Windsor Castle early at dawn. This wasn't about one dramatic blow-up. It was the result of months of growing concern that finally hit its breaking point on January 31st. That's when Meghan allegedly made the shocking move to pull both kids out of their top-tier private schools in Santa Barbara, and she did it without warning. Even more shocking, no notice was sent to the schools. No explanation reached the court mediator. And not even a single update was passed to the UK liaison team, the group that's been responsible for watching over the kids' welfare under those strict royal agreements. Now, insiders are whispering that this sudden move might be the final straw in what's quickly becoming one of the most dramatic royal custody storms in years. Within just hours of Meghan's sudden move, a California school official sounded the alarm in a confidential report titled, "No Show, Immediate Concern." The mystery deepened fast when officials discovered that neither Archie nor Lilibet had been enrolled in any new school for the spring term. No transfer forms, no academic records, no notice of future plans, nothing. It was as if the children had simply vanished from the education system overnight. By February 2nd, the situation had spiraled so far that Princess Anne herself called an emergency summit inside Windsor Castle. Witnesses say she walked in carrying a red folder stamped in bold letters. Immediate custodial breach, Markle withdrawal. The tension in that royal room was said to be unreal. According to one insider, Princess Anne didn't mince her words. She placed the folder right in front of King Charles and reportedly declared,
"You continue to trash her."
OK, I'm done with this.
No.
Sorry, no.
Sorry. Do you know what? That's pathetic.
You can trash me, but not mine.
No.
See you later.
I'm being...
Sorry, can't do
This
this.
is absolutely diabolical behaviour.
"We have tolerated image games for years, but this isn't walking away from duty. This is walking away from the children." That line froze the room. Everyone instantly understood the weight of what was inside that red folder. Those documents reportedly sent shockwaves through the royal advisors and legal team. Inside were records of canceled pediatric appointments for both kids, a directive from Meghan's own legal team ordering staff to cut off all communication with royal education and child welfare officials, and even signed financial papers dissolving a £6.3 million education trust meant to secure Archie and Lilibet's schooling in the UK. But buried even deeper in that file, according to insiders, was a bombshell revelation so intense, it's said to have changed everything for the royal family. A classified intelligence memo, dated January 29th and marked privileged and confidential, has blown the lid off. What royal investigators are now calling a shocking case of complete maternal disengagement. The memo reportedly revealed that, over the past 4 months, Meghan had been quietly preparing to cut all official family ties, a move insiders describe as both strategic and cold. Investigators allegedly uncovered a non-disclosure agreement between Meghan and a Dubai-based media financier that demanded the erasure of all prior family associations before launching her new solo brand. Even more revealing, internal emails from Meghan's legal team reportedly showed flat-out refusals to cooperate with Prince Harry's proposed joint custody plan. At the same time, marketing contracts supposedly ordered that every reference to Archie and Lilibet be scrubbed clean from her Spotify and Netflix materials, like they never existed in her professional world. By early 2026, royal legal advisors were convinced. Every sign pointed to one shocking conclusion: intentional custodial abandonment. The revelation sent shockwaves through the palace, leaving top officials in full crisis mode as they tried to contain what's now being called one of the most dramatic royal meltdowns in modern history. "This isn't co-parenting," one palace insider told The Times. "This is identity erasure." Those words hit the royal corridors like a thunderclap. Without hesitation, Princess Anne gave the green light for Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, to activate the emergency custodial safeguard protocol. Within the hour, a formal case was opened, documenting what officials described as a chilling act of parental disengagement. The classified file was immediately sent under joint jurisdiction to both the Royal Chancery Court and the California Family Court, a bold signal that the palace was done playing games.
And it really hurt my feelings. And I thought, in the context of everything else that was going on in those days leading to the wedding, that it didn't make sense to not be just doing whatever.
But the real turning point came just hours later that same afternoon. Prince William, who had been attending an economic summit in Manchester, suddenly left mid-session, catching everyone off guard, and rushed back to Windsor with a look of visible urgency. When the red folder was finally placed in his hands, witnesses say he read through every page in complete silence. Then, looking up, he reportedly said in a steady voice, "This isn't about Meghan anymore. This is about the survival of two children, emotionally, legally, and historically." His words hit like a bolt of lightning. That very night, Prince William and Princess Anne convened an emergency crisis meeting with the Royal Advisory Council. Their mission? Something absolutely unprecedented: to strip Meghan Markle of all custodial access to the Windsor bloodline, whether physical, legal, or symbolic. The move stunned even seasoned royal aides who had never seen the family take such a bold stand. Insiders stressed that this wasn't an act of revenge. It was an act of protection. For the first time in modern royal history, the Crown prepared to invoke structural guardianship over two young heirs, a protective measure meant to shield Archie and Lilibet from being swallowed up in a brutal media circus and a storm of relentless PR chaos. As dawn broke on February 3rd, the palace's plan shifted from paper to pure power. At exactly 10:20 a.m., Prince William, flanked by Lord Hargrave and the Duchess of Edinburgh, entered the royal legal chamber, the red folder still clutched tightly in his hand. With a calm yet unshakable tone, he officially invoked Appendix 4 of the Royal Succession Stabilization Act, a legal move so rare it hadn't been used in nearly a century. The atmosphere inside that chamber was electric. Every pen stroke, every breath felt like it was rewriting royal history right then and there. From that moment, the custody war reached a point of no return. The clause that Prince William triggered hadn't been touched since the abdication crisis of King Edward VIII, a provision buried deep in centuries-old royal law, hidden, powerful, and designed for extraordinary times. That ancient clause exists for one reason only: to protect royal minors from being erased, displaced, or exploited. It grants the Crown the ultimate authority to assume structural guardianship, ensuring the protection of royal stability, heritage, and the continuity of the monarchy itself. When the Royal Advisory Council cast their votes, it was unanimous. And what happened next sent shockwaves through Meghan Markle's entire world. Overnight, everything she thought she controlled began to crumble under the Crown's command. Archie and Lilibet were now officially placed back under the institutional protection of the Crown. The palace wasted no time. Step 1, passport freeze. All international travel rights for both children were suspended immediately, effective at midnight. From that moment on, neither Archie nor Lilibet could cross any country's border without dual authorization from Princess Anne and the Crown's Child Welfare Council. Officials stressed that this wasn't some routine custody shuffle. It was a full containment strategy. The goal? To block any chance of sudden relocation, legal loopholes, or secret flights to non-Hague nations. Then came step 2, commercial lockdown. Under the Windsor Privacy Act of 2023, all commercial use of the children's names, images, or voices was frozen solid for at least 5 years. That meant no documentaries, no brand deals, no podcast mentions, nothing. Even the Royal Sussex branding tied to them was shut down completely. The order was so strict that any attempt to profit from their likeness would trigger instant legal injunctions across both Commonwealth and U.S. courts. It was a sweeping royal counterstrike, and insiders say Meghan's team was blindsided, stunned, and cornered. The message from Buckingham Palace couldn't have been clearer.
What everyone else was doing, which was trying to be supportive, knowing what was going on with my dad and whatnot.
Meghan went on to clarify that she didn't tell the story to disparage Kate, but to make a point that she didn't feel protected by the royal institution.
It was a really hard week of the wedding, and she was upset about something, but
The Crown was taking back control. No negotiations, no exceptions, just royal authority in full force. And then came step 3, the Royal Restoration Fund. Prince William personally authorized a £12 million trust dedicated entirely to Archie and Lilibet's well-being. The fund would cover trauma counseling, elite private schooling, 24/7 security, and even supervised reintegration care. Palace officials made it crystal clear, this wasn't revenge. This was restoration, protection, and power, all under the Crown's command. This wasn't a PR stunt, not even close. Palace insiders called it dynastic firewalling, a direct and deliberate move to shield the royal bloodline from chaos and collapse. But the fallout hit fast, and for Meghan Markle, it was nothing short of disastrous. The second it was confirmed that she had pulled both children out of their California schools without any warning or explanation, the palace's internal crisis unit went into full emergency mode. They immediately reactivated a dormant safeguard that hadn't been used since the early 1940s, the legendary Royal Guardianship Protocol. This ancient mechanism gives the Crown the authority to step in and assume custodial oversight whenever royal children face credible threats to their welfare, identity, or public standing. It's a rarely used royal weapon, and this time it was deployed with precision. Princess Anne, acting as head of the Crown's Child Welfare Committee, didn't waste a single minute. She called for an emergency summit at Sandringham, attended by senior palace legal advisors, Prince William, and via secure video link, Lord Alastair Pembroke of the Privy Council. The agenda was crystal clear: establish legal jurisdiction, protect the children's mental and emotional stability, and block any effort to rebrand or reposition them outside their royal identity. And then came the bombshell twist. According to multiple palace insiders, Meghan's choices weren't impulsive at all. Intelligence briefings reportedly revealed this was part of a long-term media strategy. Sources claimed that a solo docuseries was already being pitched to a Middle Eastern production company, centered around her narrative as a single mother fighting against the establishment.
Negate it, they wouldn't let her because she's a good person. And I think so much of what I have seen play out is this idea of polarity, where if you love me, you don't have to hate her. And if you love her, you don't need to hate me.
Supervision and verified by Royal Treasury auditors was quietly submitted to the Privy Council. Its contents were nothing short of damning. The file reportedly contained a full audit detailing attempts to monetize the children's royal identity. It included legal documents showing efforts to trademark Archie and LE's names in multiple countries, and digital metadata tracing PR firms connected to planned branded children's product. The most dangerous thing in this marriage may not be public criticism, royal fallout, or media pressure. It may be the moment Harry realizes that the contract he signed wasn't about staying together. It was about controlling what happens when things fall apart. And once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. That same night, inspired by Princess Diana's legacy, Princess Anne released a powerful, no-nonsense statement on behalf of the institution. The House of Windsor will not tolerate the unauthorized commercial exploitation of children born into this institution, especially when it endangers their safety or constitutional standing. The message was bold, direct, and impossible to misinterpret. And then came the financial aftershocks. Banking regulators in both the UK and Canada froze accounts linked to Mail Holdings, a shadowy shell company allegedly named after Meghan, Archie, and LB, with one undisclosed foreign investor. Within a single day, sponsorship deals collapsed, including a high-profile children's storytelling platform Meghan had publicly promoted. But the real chaos hit online. Spotify swiftly wiped archived mentions of the kids from podcast descriptions, while Netflix quietly pulled thumbnails for a shelved project reportedly titled Raising Royal Hearts. Meghan's legal team later cited ongoing proceedings as the reason, but palace insiders claimed something else entirely was behind the purge. According to royal sources, what happened next wasn't censorship, it was containment. The Crown had moved to shut down every digital trace of what they saw as royal identity exploitation in progress. The Crown had officially invoked the Digital Identity Protection Act.
Is there a business here? And I think it was probably most people's assumption that if I was going to go into business, it would be fashion or beauty. But those 5 years at home, I wasn't running around wearing beautiful outfits. I was probably in Birkenstocks and sweats like the rest of us, especially during COVID, or just barefoot at home.
A powerful international child welfare clause that hadn't been used in royal history since the abdication crisis of King Edward VIII. Its wording is direct, cold, and absolute. In cases where royal minors face the risk of erasure, displacement, or exploitation, the Crown shall assume structural guardianship to protect stability, heritage, and sovereign continuity. This was no symbolic move. It was constitutional force in action. And then came the shock. No one saw coming. Prince Harry was completely blindsided. Sources close to his circle said he had no idea the decision was being finalized until after it was signed and sealed. His request to temporarily retain custody rights was reportedly denied on strict legal grounds: travel restrictions, unresolved U.S. residency status, and a lack of stable income all counted against him. The final blow came in the form of a confidential letter, hand-delivered by a royal courier and written with King Charles's knowledge. It stated in stark language, custody, guardianship, and protection of Windsor. Children now fall solely under Crown protocol. No sentiment, no discussion, just constitutional finality. Meanwhile, Princess Catherine quietly stepped into a historic new role, one not seen since the post-war era. She took direct oversight of Lilibet's emotional recovery, organizing weekly therapy sessions with a top specialist in transatlantic identity trauma. A trusted Welsh nanny was reassigned to serve as Lily B's primary caregiver, ensuring constant stability and care. Even Prince George and Princess Charlotte were gently encouraged to include Lilibet in their Windsor routines to help her feel safe, connected, and part of the royal circle once again. And then came the image that said it all. A single UNC-captioned photograph released by the palace showing Lilibet holding Princess Charlotte's hand as they exited Windsor Chapel by candlelight. The photo exploded across the internet within minutes. No statement was needed. The message was already loud and crystal clear. The Crown had closed ranks. Every royal face, every polished expression said it all. The family was united, and this time there were no cracks to exploit. By February 3rd, Meghan Markle had become completely unreachable. Her team released just a single vague line, asking for privacy, but her silence screamed louder than any televised interview could. Behind palace gates, things looked strikingly different. Insiders whispered that Lilibet was adjusting far better than anyone expected. "She's calmer," one royal nanny reportedly shared anonymously. "She trusts Catherine completely. There's no fear in her routine anymore. Only structure." Those quiet words painted a sharp contrast to the chaos unraveling thousands of miles away in California, where Meghan's public and professional world was collapsing in real time. In Los Angeles, the backlash was swift and merciless. Netflix quietly froze all pending discussions tied to Meghan's upcoming solo projects, shutting down multiple ventures before they could even reach final approval. What had once seemed like unstoppable Hollywood momentum suddenly evaporated overnight. Meanwhile, whispers from Montecito painted an even darker picture. Sources close to Prince Harry described his emotional state as dire, saying he appeared torn and isolated, caught between royal loyalty and personal heartbreak. With the palace tightening its grip and Hollywood stepping back, Meghan's world seemed to be crumbling from every direction. And for the first time, the Crown, not California, controlled the narrative. Prince Harry has reportedly been living separately from Meghan, struggling to keep himself together as the reality of the custody crisis fully sinks in. According to a longtime friend, Harry has been pleading with Prince William for a private brother-to-brother meeting, desperately hoping for a chance to see his children without Meghan present. One close confidant described his request in haunting words. "It's desperation, not negotiation." He knows this might be his last chance to hold on to any piece of that bond. The emotion behind those words painted a picture of a man torn between duty, love, and heartbreak. But even as the personal pain deepened, the air around the palace grew thick with unanswered questions. Why did Meghan erase every trace of her children from her digital platforms just days before the legal hearing? And what exactly did Prince William submit to the Privy Council that triggered such an immediate, forceful institutional response? The mystery left royal watchers across the world buzzing with speculation. Whatever was inside that confidential dossier, it clearly sparked a chain reaction that even the monarchy couldn't afford to ignore. The fallout was spreading fast, and not just within palace walls. In Hollywood, major studios were suddenly cutting ties with Meghan Markle, and no one was giving a public reason. The entertainment world had gone silent, and that silence was absolutely deafening.
She owned it and she apologized and she brought me flowers and a note apologizing. What was hard to get over was being blamed for something that not only I didn't do, but that happened to me, and the people who were part of our wedding going to our comms team and saying, I know this didn't happen.
Then, precisely at 10 a.m., inside the Royal Household Child Welfare Chamber, Princess Anne rose to deliver her second emergency briefing in just 48 hours. Her tone, her expression, everything about that moment said one thing loud and clear. The Crown was preparing for a reckoning unlike anything seen in modern royal history. But this time, the audience wasn't the press. It was something far more serious. Behind sealed courtroom doors, a select group of UK High Court judges, senior child welfare officials, and Privy Council members gathered under strict emergency protocol. The atmosphere was ice cold and tense, every seat filled with figures who understood the gravity of what was about to unfold. Princess Anne stood at the front, her voice steady, sharp, and cold as steel. She didn't mince words as she declared, "We are no longer speaking in hypotheticals. The children in question, Archie Harrison and Lilibet Diana, have been placed in emotional jeopardy through the conscious disengagement of their mother. Ms. Meghan Markle's actions constitute a breach of the Windsor Accord custodial monitoring protocol." Her words echoed through the chamber with a precision that cut deep. Outside those walls, the media world was already on fire. International news outlets were suddenly flooded with fresh images of Meghan, lounging on a luxury yacht in Doha, champagne glass in hand, seated beside a Middle Eastern media financier. To the public, it looked like a glamorous display of independence and control. But to the Crown, it was seen as something far darker, abandonment disguised as spectacle. Then came another twist buried in court documents. Reports confirmed that Princess Catherine herself had quietly compiled and submitted detailed internal briefings to strengthen the palace's legal case. According to those filings, Meghan had ignored 3 urgent notices concerning her children's health, education, and emotional well-being. One of those notices documented a particularly chilling detail: Archie's sudden withdrawal from classroom interaction, a change so drastic that educators grew alarmed, fearing the young prince was emotionally shutting down. The revelations hit like a thunderbolt, painting a picture not of royal politics, but of 2 children caught in the eye of a storm too powerful to escape. Another detailed Lilette recurring night terrors and disturbing drawings filled with violent imagery. The picture being painted inside that sealed courtroom was grim. 2 royal children caught an emotional free fall while their mother appeared thousands of miles away, living under headlines and camera lights. The monarchy wasn't just reacting, it was moving to reclaim control in the name of protection. No responses came back, not even a digital acknowledgement. The silence was absolute. When Prince William finally took the floor, his anger was contained but undeniable. His voice carried the kind of restrained fury that made everyone in the room sit up straight. "We are no longer discussing reputational damage," he said firmly. "We are confronting a deeper failure. Children born into the Windsor lineage deserve protection, not exploitation, and certainly not abandonment when they become inconvenient." Then came the moment that changed everything. William introduced a sealed affidavit reportedly written by a former Sussex staff member. Inside was a chilling statement, one that froze the entire chamber in silence. The affidavit quoted Meghan as allegedly saying, "Let the crown raise them. I have an empire to rebuild." That single sentence hit like a bomb. Witnesses described the atmosphere as electric and tense. Even seasoned officials were left speechless. Later, Prince Edward privately confided to aides that he had never seen Prince William so visibly shaken, not even during the chaotic fallout from the Netflix controversy. This time, Edward said, "It wasn't about Meghan anymore. It was about George, Charlotte, and Louis. William saw their future in this crisis, and that's where he drew the line." His words painted the picture of a brother realizing that the fate of his own children was now entangled in a storm threatening the entire royal legacy. Across the Atlantic, Meghan's legal team finally broke their silence, issuing a cold one-line statement dismissing the UK's findings as non-binding under California family law. But that distant, technical response backfired instantly. Palace sources called it a catastrophic misstep, saying it reinforced the very image the Crown had been trying to warn the world about: detachment and defiance in the face of duty.
Could we do something that feels a little bit like the tenor of how I'm building this? And really be candid.
Without missing a beat, Princess Anne took control once again. She coordinated directly with the Foreign Office to activate a little-known bilateral clause buried deep within the post-Brexit Windsor Convention. That clause, hidden for decades, was designed for one purpose only: to be used in absolute last resort situations where a royal child faced verified danger beyond British borders and where parental authority was deemed compromised. No one in modern royal history had ever dared to use it until now. By February 3, 2026, the unthinkable had become reality. The clause was officially active. And with that single move, the Crown had expanded its reach across oceans, signaling to the world that this wasn't just a family dispute anymore. It was a global royal intervention. By the early hours of February 4th, London was buzzing with whispers that the Foreign Office had gone into lockdown. Inside Whitehall, top officials were working through the night, finalizing the legal framework for what was now being called Operation Crown Guardian. The mission's purpose was simple, but explosive: to enforce the Windsor Convention clause across international jurisdictions. For the first time in decades, the monarchy was acting as a global legal authority. At 6:45 a.m., a secure transmission was sent directly to the U.S. State Department, formally notifying them that two dual nationals, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, were under the emergency protection of the British Crown. Sources described the move as unprecedented in modern diplomacy. Within minutes, American family law specialists were scrambling to interpret the clause's reach. Could the Crown really enforce royal guardianship on U.S. soil? The answer, apparently, was yes, at least partially. Then came the shocker no one expected. A leaked internal memo revealed that Prince Harry had quietly signed a limited cooperation affidavit, allowing British officials to conduct welfare checks on his children within California territory. That single act sent the media into overdrive. To the world, it looked like Harry had chosen the crown over Meghan. To the palace, it was the final confirmation that the royal bloodline would remain protected, no matter the personal cost. Meanwhile, inside Buckingham Palace, Princess Anne and Prince William convened one more confidential session with royal legal advisors. The tone was cold, decisive, and final. The next stage, sources claimed, would focus on structural reintegration, a long-term plan to reintroduce Archie and Lilibet into royal life under supervised care in the UK. Palace aides described the atmosphere as somber but resolute. One insider said, "This is no longer about control, it's about legacy. The monarchy won't let history repeat itself." By midday, Operation Crown Guardian was fully active. The Crown's message to the world was unmistakable. The royal line would not be fractured, erased, or commercialized. Meghan's silence continued, but her absence had become its own headline. The story was no longer about rebellion. It was about redemption, power, and the cost of walking away from the throne. Meanwhile, the fallout hit Meghan like a thunderclap. Her £8 million private trust was voided in full, declared unsanctioned and non-compliant under the new Windsor oversight orders. Every entertainment license, sponsorship, and media tie even remotely connected to the children was frozen pending a full financial audit. Overnight, the glittering partnerships that once fueled the Sussex brand began to collapse one by one. In Hollywood, the silence was deafening. Studios stopped calling, and long-promised projects were quietly shelved indefinitely. Industry insiders whispered that the town had finally decided to step back, unwilling to challenge the Crown's sweeping authority. The once unstoppable Sussex machine had suddenly gone dark. Back in London, the palace closed ranks tighter than ever. The message was clear. This time there would be no leaks, no wavering, no weakness. Inside those stone walls, Prince Harry, now isolated and emotionally adrift, was said to be negotiating behind doors that no longer opened easily. The man once hailed as the rebel prince had become a silent spectator in a game he could no longer control. In the end, the Markle era didn't crash and burn in front of flashing cameras or courtroom chaos. It ended in silence, signatures, and guardianship. The monarchy didn't flinch, didn't bend, and this time, the Crown did not blink. If this royal unraveling left you stunned, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and drop a comment below. What do you think of the Crown's final move?